Forgotten promises. The glass doors of Horizon Technologies parted silently as Prisha Malhotra stepped into the lobby, her heart thundering against her ribcage. 7 years had passed, yet returning to Mumbai felt like reopening a book at the most painful chapter. Ms. Malhotra, welcome to Horizon. A cheerful receptionist handed her a visitor badge. Mr. Sharma from HR will escort you shortly. Prisha nodded, smoothing down her burgundy blazer. The consulting position at India's fastest-growing tech company was an opportunity she couldn't refuse, even if it meant working in the shadow of her past. She studied the gleaming lobby with its cascading indoor waterfall, the company motto etched on marble read, "Innovating tomorrow's solutions today." How ironic that her tomorrow had brought her back to yesterday. Priscilla, a friendly voice called, "I'm Rohan Sharma, head of HR. We're thrilled to have JMD Consulting's top marketing strategist joining us." She smiled professionally. "Thank you for the opportunity. I'm eager to begin. The executive team is excited to meet you, especially our founder. He personally approved your application after seeing your portfolio." Her stomach tightened. The founder reviews consultants personally. Mr. Kapoor is particular about who shapes our brand messaging. The name hit her like cold water. Vikram Kapoor. So the rumors were true. Her college sweetheart had become the 32-year-old billionaire whose face graced business magazines. The boy who once shared street food with her on university steps now occupied the penthouse office of this skyscraper. As the elevator climbed, memories flooded back, study sessions that turned to whispered promises, ambitious dreams shared under monsoon skies, the warmth of his hand as they plotted their futures. And then, her father's sudden illness, the mountain of medical bills, and her choice to disappear rather than become his burden. The executive floor, Rohan announced as the doors opened. "Your workspace is here, and the conference room where you'll present your initial assessment is down the hall." Prisha followed, pulse racing with each step. Would he recognize her immediately? Had success changed him beyond the ambitious boy she'd known? "Our morning meeting starts in 10 minutes. You'll meet the team then." She settled at her assigned desk, arranging her laptop and notes with trembling hands. 7 years of building her reputation in Delhi's cutthroat marketing world hadn't prepared her for this moment. She had left Mumbai with nothing but determination and shame. Now she returned as a professional, respected in her field yet terrified of a single pair of eyes. The conference room filled gradually with executives in tailored suits. Prisha introduced herself with practiced confidence, shaking hands and exchanging pleasantries. Then the room quieted as the door opened. Vikram Kapoor entered with the casual authority of someone who owned not just the building but the air within it. Taller than she remembered, with shoulders broadened by responsibility, he wore success like a second skin. But she recognized the intensity in his dark eyes, the slight furrow when he concentrated. Those eyes swept the room, landing on her. For one breathless moment, the world compressed to just them, a spark of recognition flickering across his face before professional neutrality reasserted itself. "Welcome, everyone." His voice had deepened with maturity. "Let's begin." Throughout the meeting, Priscilla maintained her composure, presenting marketing insights with calm expertise. Only she knew how her heart raced when his gaze occasionally found hers, searching for the ghost of what they'd been. When the meeting concluded, executives filtered out. Prisha gathered her materials, sensing his approach before he spoke. "Ms. Malhotra," his tone was cordial but distant, "your reputation precedes you. We look forward to your insights." She met his eyes, finding them unreadable. "Thank you, Mr. Kapoor. I'm committed to delivering results for Horizon." "I'm sure you are." A pause hung between them, heavy with unspoken words. "You've come a long way from Symbiosis College." So he remembered. Of course he did. "We all have," she replied softly. His expression remained impassive, but something flickered behind his eyes, hurt, perhaps, or anger long buried. "Welcome to Horizon Technologies," he said finally, before turning away. "I trust you won't disappear this time." The words followed her like shadows as she watched him walk away, leaving 7 years of silence stretched between them like an uncrossable sea. Paper walls. 3 weeks into her contract, Prisha had established a careful routine at Horizon Technologies. She arrived early, left late, and maintained scrupulous professionalism that earned respect from colleagues. The marketing department already showed improvements under her guidance, and the social media campaign she designed had gained traction beyond projections. But the hallways felt like minefields. Each corner potentially concealed an encounter with Vikram, professional, distant, yet charged with unspoken history. "Your analysis of our market positioning is impressive," remarked Nandini Desai, the marketing director, as they reviewed documents in the glass-walled conference room. "But I'm curious why you recommended such a dramatic pivot for the Nexus platform." "Because it's currently positioned in the enterprise space where competition is fierce," Prisha explained, sliding her tablet forward. "But my research shows an underserved mid-market segment with higher growth potential." "It's bold," Nandini admitted. "Vikram has always targeted enterprise clients." "Sometimes the best opportunities lie where others aren't looking," Prisha said, unaware that the subject of their conversation had paused outside the transparent walls, watching her animated gestures as she explained her vision. Later that afternoon, an email arrived from his office requesting her presence at the executive strategy meeting, a forum usually closed to consultants. When she entered the boardroom, Vikram was standing by the floor-to-ceiling windows, Mumbai's skyline creating a dramatic backdrop. He turned, expression unreadable behind wire-rimmed glasses that were new to her, a small change that somehow emphasized the years between them. Ms. Mal, I'd like you to present your Nexus repositioning strategy to the board. She nodded, maintaining composure though her heart raced. Of course. As other executives filed in, Prisha noticed Vikram's assistant Odisha giving her a curious look. You've made quite an impression, he whispered. He rarely fast-tracks consultants to board presentations. I'm just doing my job, she replied, arranging her materials. Aditya smiled knowingly. Interesting that he specifically requested you for this project when there are 3 other marketing consultants currently contracted. The meeting proceeded with Prisha presenting confidently despite Vikram's intense focus. His questions were pointed but fair, challenging her assumptions while respecting her expertise. Your proposal has merit, he concluded after her presentation. Implement a pilot program. We'll reassess in 4 weeks. It was more opportunity than most consultants received in months. That evening, working late, Prisha found herself alone in the office except for the cleaning staff and, apparently, Vikram, who emerged from his office looking tired. Still here? He asked, stopping by her desk. Just finishing some projections, she replied, conscious of being alone with him for the first time. He nodded. Then, after a pause, your approach to Nexus is interesting, different from what I envisioned, but perhaps necessary. Thank you. I believe it has potential. Silence stretched between them, not uncomfortable, but weighted with memory. You disappeared. His words came quietly, without preamble. One day we were planning our future. The next, nothing. No calls. No explanation. Prisha's fingers tightened around her pen. That was a lifetime ago, was it? His eyes held hers. Because sometimes it feels like yesterday. Before she could respond, his phone rang. He checked it with a frown. I have to take this. Good night, Prisha. She watched him walk away, the use of her first name hanging in the air the following days brought increasing collaboration as the Nexus pilot took shape. Professional interactions were punctuated by moments that threatened their carefully constructed boundaries. A shared laugh over a marketing mishap, his hand accidentally brushing hers while reaching for documents, the way he sometimes looked at her when he thought she was focused elsewhere. During a team lunch, conversation turned to college days. Where did you study, Prisya? Asked Nandini. Symbiosis in Pune, she answered, feeling Vikram's attention sharpen across the table. That's where our illustrious founder studied too, said Odisha with interest. Did you two know each other? A heavy moment passed before Vikram answered. Briefly. Different departments. The lie hung between them like a paper wall, thin enough to see shadows through, but still a barrier. That evening, Prisha found herself in the company archives researching previous campaigns. Among the files was a feature on Horizon's founding, a story she'd avoided reading. Vikram Kapoor launched Horizon Technologies at 25, following a personal setback, the article read. He credits this period of adversity with clarifying his vision. A quote from Vikram followed. Sometimes losing your compass forces you to draw your own map. She stared at the words, wondering if she had been that compass, if her disappearance had somehow catalyzed his success. The thought brought a complex emotion. Pride tangled with regret. Her contemplation was interrupted by footsteps. Vikram stood in the doorway, expression softening at finding her surrounded by company history. Researching the competition, he asked with a hint of the teasing warmth she remembered. Understanding the foundation, she corrected. To build effective marketing, I need to know the company's journey. He approached, glancing at the open file. That journalists sensationalize things. Did she? Prisha asked quietly. Was there a personal setback? Their eyes met, his revealing more than he likely intended. You know there was. She looked away first. I had my reasons, Vikram. I'm sure they seemed sufficient at the time. His tone had cooled, but 7 years of silence. Not even a goodbye. Would you have let me go if I'd tried to say goodbye? The question lingered unanswered as his assistant appeared at the door. Sir, your investor call is starting. Vikram straightened, professional mask returning. Thank you for your dedication to the Nexus project, Ms. Malhotra. Your insights continue to be valuable. As he left, Prisha released a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. The paper walls between them were beginning to tear, revealing glimpses of wounds that had never properly healed, and feelings that perhaps had never truly died. Outside the archive room window, Mumbai's lights glittered like the dreams they once shared, now transformed into a reality where they existed as professionals first, former lovers second, and strangers somewhere in between. Midnight confessions. The Nexus project deadline loomed. Just 2 weeks away when disaster struck. A competitor announced a similar platform aimed at the exact mid-market segment Prisha had identified. The news sent ripples through Horizon Technologies, with emergency meetings called and strategy sessions running late into the evening. We need to accelerate the timeline, Vikram announced to the gathered team, and differentiate our offering more clearly. That's nearly impossible with our current resources, Nandini objected. The development team is already stretched thin. Vikram's gaze found Prisha's. What do you think? She considered carefully before responding. I believe we can do it, but we'll need to pivot again. Not just the marketing approach, but certain product features. Explain, he said, leaning forward. Our competitor is focusing on efficiency. Let's emphasize integration and customization instead. It means restructuring our campaign completely. But do it, Vikram interrupted. Whatever resources you need. And so began a series of late nights. The marketing and development teams worked in tandem, with Prisha and Vikram often the last remaining in the office, reviewing strategies and features until the city lights outside dimmed on the third such evening. With most staff gone and the office quiet, they worked side by side in the strategy room, surrounded by digital mock-ups and market analysis. This integration with cloud services gives us an edge, Prisha noted, highlighting sections of her presentation. But we need to make it more intuitive. Vikram nodded, removing his glasses to rub tired eyes. Without them, he looked more like the boy she remembered from college, earnest and determined. Though now carrying the weight of 800 employees' livelihoods, the developer team can modify the interface by Thursday, he said. Then, noticing the time, it's past midnight. You should go home. So should you, she replied with a small smile. But we both know that won't happen. A moment of shared understanding passed between them, reminiscent of late study nights years ago. Are you hungry? He asked suddenly. I am. 20 minutes later, they sat in his office with containers of street-style pav bhaji delivered from a local restaurant, the same dish they often shared as students. You remembered, she said softly, accepting the container. Some things you don't forget, he replied, his tone carefully neutral, like someone's favorite food, or how they take their chai. The familiar spices brought back memories of rainy evenings in college cafes, planning futures neither could have predicted. Do you remember our entrepreneurship project in final year? She asked, allowing herself to revisit the past for the first time. A genuine smile crossed his face. The app that would revolutionize student housing. Professor Joshi said it was too ambitious. And you said that ambition is just vision plus stubbornness. They finished together, then laughed, a sound that seemed to dissolve years of tension. You were right. Clearly, she gestured to the office around them. Not entirely alone, Vikram said, his voice lowering. The core concept of Horizon's first product was from our project. Your ideas were always part of this, Prisha. The revelation hung in the air between them that she had contributed to the foundation of his empire, even in absence. They worked another hour before fatigue made focus impossible. As they gathered their materials, Vikram paused. Why did you take this contract? He asked suddenly. You must have known I owned Horizon. She considered deflection but chose honesty. I did know, but I've spent 7 years letting the past dictate my choices. Taking this contract was about proving something to myself. That I could face you again. That I could be professional despite our history. He studied her face. And have you proven it? I thought I had, she admitted, but it's more complicated than I expected. The air between them seemed to shift, charged with unspoken feelings. Why did you approve my application? She countered. You could have rejected it. I considered it, he admitted. But curiosity won. I wanted to see who you'd become, and his eyes held hers. You're everything I thought you'd be. Brilliant, determined. A pause. Beautiful. The compliment caught her off guard, breaking through her professional armor. Vikram, I know, he interrupted. Professional boundaries. I shouldn't have said that. No, it's not that. She took a deep breath. There's something you should know. About why I left. His expression grew serious. I'm listening. My father had a heart attack that spring. You were in Bangalore for that internship. The memories flooded back hospital corridors, mounting bills, her mother's tearful face. The medical expenses bankrupted us. The house was mortgaged, and still it wasn't enough. Understanding began to dawn in his eyes. We lost everything, she continued. I had to drop out, get jobs plural just to help with the bills and his care. You could have told me, he said quietly. I would have helped with what. You were a student too. And I couldn't, she faltered. I couldn't be the girlfriend who stayed because her boyfriend might become successful someday. It felt ... wrong. So instead you became the girlfriend who disappeared without explanation, he said, but the bitterness in his tone had softened with understanding. I thought it would be easier for you to move on without me becoming a burden. A clean break. It wasn't clean, he said. It was shattering. The word hung between them, raw and honest. I'm sorry, she whispered. Truly, he shook his head. You did what you thought was right for your family. I can't fault that. After a pause, how is your father now? He passed away 2 years later, she said. But he got the care he needed in those final years. That's what matters. Without thinking, Vikram reached across the table and covered her hand with his the first deliberate touch since her return. One wish I had known, he said. I wish I could have been there. The simple contact bridged 7 years of absence. For a moment they were just Prisha and Vikram, again not consultant and CEO, not strangers rebuilding professional respect, but two people with a shared past and unresolved feelings. Then, from the security desk, came the sound of the night guard beginning his rounds. Vikram withdrew his hand slowly. It's late. I'll have my driver take you home. That's not necessary, please, he said. It's the least I can do. As they walked to the elevator, a new understanding settled between them, not quite forgiveness, not quite reconciliation, but a fracture in the walls they'd built, allowing glimpses of the truth they'd both been hiding beneath the professional facades. Their connection remained, altered but unbroken by time and circumstance. In the soft glow of the elevator, descending toward the lobby, neither spoke, but when their eyes met in the reflective doors, something unspoken passed between them, a recognition that their story, paused 7 years ago, had perhaps not reached its final chapter after all. Broken Bridges, the revamped Nexus platform, launched to industry acclaim, positioning Horizon Technologies as an innovator in the mid-market space. Business publications praised the company's agility and foresight, with several noting the refreshing marketing approach that differentiated it from competitors. At the launch celebration, Prisha stood apart from the crowd, watching as Vikram delivered a speech thanking the team. Their late nights had paid off, but had also left her emotionally vulnerable. Each shared moment of progress, each accidental brush of hands passing documents, each rare smile exchanged, all had begun rebuilding, something she wasn't sure she should allow. Her consulting contract would end in 3 weeks. Quite an achievement, said Aditya, approaching with 2 champagne flutes, especially given the compressed timeline. She accepted the drink with a nod. The team performed admirably under pressure. The team, he repeated with a knowing look, including you and Vikram. People have noticed, Noticed what? The chemistry, the history. He studied her reaction. I've worked with him for 5 years. He's never been so invested in a marketing initiative. Before she could respond, Nandini called for everyone's attention. As part of our celebration, we've prepared a video highlighting Horizon's journey from startup to industry leader. The lights dimmed as a projection appeared on the wall. Images flashed across the screen. Early team photos, product launches, awards ceremonies. Then came footage. Prisha had never seen Vikram at 25, accepting a Young Entrepreneur Award. This recognition belongs to those who believed in our vision, young Vikram said in the video, and to those who shaped it, whether they're still here or not. His gaze in the footage held such raw emotion that Prisha had to look away, knowing exactly when it had been filmed, just 2 years after she'd left. The celebration continued around her, but she slipped away to the relative quiet of the marketing department. Standing at the window overlooking Mumbai, she confronted the reality she'd been avoiding. Her feelings for Vikram had never died, merely been buried under necessity and pride. Not enjoying the party, she turned to find him watching her from the doorway. Just needed some air, she replied. Congratulations on the successful launch. He crossed to stand beside her at the window. It was your strategy that made it possible. A good strategy needs good execution. Your team delivered that. Our team, he corrected, for a few more weeks at least. The reminder of her departure hung between them. What happens then? He asked quietly. I returned to Delhi, other clients. And if there were reasons to stay, the question held implications she wasn't ready to address. Vikram, they were interrupted by Rohan rushing into the department, expression tense. Sir, there's a situation. TechVantage is claiming we stole their intellectual property for the Nexus platform. What? That's absurd. Vikram's professional demeanor returned instantly. Their legal team just delivered a cease and desist. They're threatening to go public with the accusation tomorrow. The celebration downstairs continued, unaware of the crisis developing above. Get the legal team on conference now, Vikram ordered. Prisha, you know the platform development timeline better than anyone. I need you there. The next hours blurred into emergency meetings and strategy sessions. By midnight, the situation had clarified. TechVantage had acquired a small startup whose cloud integration approach was similar to Horizon's. The similarity is coincidental, Horizon's legal head insisted, but in the court of public opinion, the accusation alone could damage the launch momentum. We need to prove our development timeline predates their acquisition, Vikram said. Prisha, who had been unusually quiet, spoke up. I might have something. She pulled up files from her personal archive. These are my original integration concepts from our college entrepreneurship project, dated and verified by the university submission system. The room fell silent as they examined her documentation. You kept these? Vikram asked, surprise evident. I keep all my work, she replied simply. Professional habit. The legal team brightened. This proves conceptual development years before their claim. If you're willing to let us use these, there's a complication, Prisha interrupted. Using these would reveal that some of Horizon's founding technology concepts came from a joint project between Vikram and myself. Understanding dawned across the room as executives exchanged glances. Their professional relationship suddenly made sense but raised new questions. Give us the room, Vikram said quietly. When the others had left, he turned to Prisha. You never wanted credit for those ideas. They were our shared work, she said. But after I left, it was right that you developed them. I made my choice, and now. She met his gaze steadily. Now I'm making another one. Use a documentation. I'll sign whatever disclaimers you need regarding my contribution. Why would you do that? Because I believe in what you've built. Because I won't let false accusations destroy it. The unspoken hung in the air because, despite everything, I still care. He studied her for a long moment. I need to know something first. Did you accept this contract to claim credit for our early work? The question struck like a physical blow. Is that what you think of me? I don't know what to think, he admitted. 7 years of silence. Then you appear just as we're expanding into new markets. If you believe that, she said quietly, then you never knew me at all. She gathered her things, pain evident in her movements. Use the documentation or don't. My team at JMD Consulting will continue supporting the project remotely. I'll finish my contract from Delhi. Prisha, it's late, Vic. We're both tired and saying things we might regret. She walked to the door, then paused without turning. For the record, I came here to prove something to myself, that I could face the past without breaking. I never intended to disrupt your life again. After she left, Vikram stood alone in the conference room, surrounded by evidence of their shared history and the success it had spawned. Outside, Mumbai continued its nocturnal rhythm, indifferent to the personal drama unfolding in the glass tower above its streets. By morning, Prisha had booked a flight back to Delhi. Dawn after darkness. 3 days passed, with Prisha working remotely from a Delhi apartment. The intellectual property crisis had been averted. TechVantage withdrew their claims after Horizon's legal team presented evidence of prior development, but the emotional damage remained unrepaired. Her phone buzzed with a message from Nandini. He's been impossible since you left. Whatever happened, fix it. Prisha set the phone aside, focusing on the marketing reports before her. The Nexus platform was performing beyond projections, but she took little satisfaction in the success. Everything felt hollow. Her doorbell rang unexpectedly. Opening it revealed Aditya, looking travel-worn but determined. What are you doing in Delhi? She asked, surprised. Delivering this, he handed her an envelope, and providing context if needed. Inside was an official-looking document, an amended corporate history of Horizon Technologies, acknowledging the contributions of Prisha Malhotra to the conceptual foundation of the company. He's making it official, Aditya explained, publicly recognizing your role. Why? The crisis is over. Because it's the truth, came another voice. Vikram stood in the hallway, looking as if he hadn't slept properly in days. I'll wait downstairs, Aditya said tactfully, disappearing toward the elevator. Prishore stepped back wordlessly, allowing Vikram to enter her apartment. Sunlight streamed through the windows, illuminating the simple space she'd created for herself, a life built from determination after losing everything. You left without saying goodbye, he said. Again it seemed best for whom? His voice held no anger, only wariness. I've spent 7 years building an empire, becoming someone who could never be wounded like that boy you left behind. Then you walk back into my life, and in 3 weeks you remind me of everything I've been missing while chasing success. She looked away. I never meant to disrupt what you've built. What I've built, he repeated. Do you know what I realized after you left? That Horizon became my shield against feeling anything. Every innovation, every expansion, they were just ways to that stay busy enough that I wouldn't remember what it felt like to lose you. The raw honesty of his words struck her silent. I accused you of coming back to claim credit, he continued. That was unfair and untrue. You've never sought recognition, even when deserved. Why are you here, Vikram? She asked quietly. He crossed to the window, looking out at Delhi's skyline, so different from Mumbai, yet part of the same country that had shaped them both. Because I realized something. 7 years ago, you made a choice to protect your family without burdening me. It was the wrong choice. We should have faced it together, but it came from love, not abandonment. He turned to face her. And 3 days ago I made the wrong choice too. Instead of trusting you, I let old pain speak. But beneath that pain was the same truth. I never stopped loving you, Prisha. The words hung in the sunlit room, honest and vulnerable. We've both built lives apart, she said carefully. Successful ones, yes, and that's important. He stepped closer. You're not the girl who needed to save her family anymore. I'm not the boy who dreamed of changing the world. We've become the people we aspire to be. So what are you proposing? A new beginning. Not picking up where we left off, that's impossible, but starting something new with all we've learned and become. He reached for her hand, tentatively, giving her space to withdraw. She didn't. I'm not asking you to leave your life here, he continued, or to join Horizon permanently. I'm asking if we can stop running from what's still between us. And what exactly is that? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Something worth exploring, he answered. Something that survived 7 years of silence and 3 weeks of rediscovery. He reached into his pocket and withdrew a small wooden puzzle box, one she recognized immediately. She had given it to him during their final year of college, a challenge he had never solved. You kept it, she said, surprised. I've carried it everywhere, he admitted. A reminder of the greatest puzzle in my life. How to move forward without forgetting what mattered most. He placed it in her palm. I solved it last night. Curious, she manipulated the wooden pieces until the box opened, revealing not emptiness but a folded note and not age. She unfolded it to find his handwriting. Some journeys take unexpected detours before reaching their destination. I'm still traveling toward you. Tears filled her eyes as the wall she had maintained professional distance. Protective indifference finally crumbled completely. I don't know if this can work, she said honestly. We're different people now. Yes, he agreed, but perhaps better equipped to understand what matters. He touched her cheek gently. You walked away from the past to save those you loved. I channeled my pain into building something meaningful. Maybe now we've earned the right to stop looking backward. In the quiet of her apartment, with Delhi's sun casting long shadows across the floor, Prisha made another choice, not from necessity or pride this time, but from the recognition that some connections transcend time and circumstance. She leaned forward and kissed him, bridging 7 years of absence in a single moment. When they parted, she smiled through tears. So what happens now? Now, he said, returning her smile, we build something new together, at our own pace, on our own terms. Outside, the city continued its endless rhythm, lives intersecting, separating, reconnecting in the complex dance of human experience. Inside, two people who had once lost everything familiar began the delicate work of creating something that honored both their separate journeys and the path that had always connected them, a path interrupted, but never truly broken. I think, Prisha said softly, I'd like that very much. And in the gentle afternoon light, they began again, not erasing the past, but weaving it into the foundation of a future neither could have imagined alone.